it's an interesting choice. You know what it reminded me of?
No.
Very obscure. It reminded me of Mass Effect. In Mass Effect, you hear like an extranet news newscast on the radio when you're like in the elevator or just walking around the Presidium.
Yeah.
And they talk about this like avant-garde director who's doing a production of Shakespeare, but with all L-core actors.
The ones who cannot emote at all.
So
they tell you what they're feeling.
Yeah, so
cautiously.
Yeah, they're speaking
blah, blah, blah.
the general tongue, but since they don't know, they can't express emotion with their words. So instead they say, angrily, "Why the hell are you trying to kill me?"
Yeah,
you know, they speak like that, and it reminded me of that, like letting like the words speak for themselves, not so much the actors. You know, that was the thing it reminded me of. It's nothing to do with it. Just
now that you're saying it, yes, kind of a funny comparison.
Hello, and welcome back to the Spoilercast, the show where we talk about movies, and we don't really care about spoiling them because it's the Spoilercast. And if you like this show, I'm just going to say it right away in the beginning. If you like the show, you want to support the show and get even more of the show, you should check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. We will record a new episode, an extra episode every week. So you'll get twice the amount of episodes. You also get commentary tracks. We just released our Batman Mask of the Phantasm commentary track for last month. You also get, early access to other podcasts. It's a bunch of stuff, all for just $3 a month. So please check that out if you want to support us in our podcasting endeavors. But having said that, my name is Tobias, and with me as always is my sister and trusted co-host, Rebecca.
Hello.
Hello. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about the one Oscar movie that we weren't able to watch. Because our last Patreon episode, we talked about the Oscars and about who won and all the other fun stuff that went on during that sordid ceremony.
Clarification: not the only one we didn't. The only one nominated for best film.
Yes, best
that
feature.
We couldn't see.
Yes,
feature. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't watch all the movies, but out of the best features, we saw all the movies except for one, and that one was Drive My Car.
Yes.
But now it is available on the internet. On HBO Max or Mubi or whatever. So I thought, let's watch it. So we, kind of get some closure.
Yes. Because after this, I think we're done with anything Oscar related.
I think
for
so.
Another year or so.
Too. Yeah. I'm definitely. Enough with the Oscars. It's more fun to talk about movies I actually like. Not that I didn't like Drive My Car, but we'll get into that.
Yes.
Let's start this way. I don't remember how you should do. What did you think of Drive My Car?
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, a big, it's not an issue, it's just a hindrance is obviously the language.
Yes.
The multiple languages, to be honest.
Yes, there is a language barrier. There is.
And even with subtitles, you don't really get the same...
Yeah, you can't
get the
really
same feeling.
Interpretation of the words, yeah.
Yeah. Some of the subtitles, it felt like if you listen to the way the words were placed in Japanese, and then the subtitle, if you had like repetition of words, you could see where in the sentence they were placed, and you could hear it. And then it didn't feel like it matched sometimes. But,
yeah.
I mean... Translation sometimes looks different than what it sounds like. Yeah. But it just felt off, It
did. And we shouldn't really judge the movie based on that, but we gotta mention it.
Not.
Yeah. Especially this movie, some felt off with the translation or something. Yeah. I haven't had this kind of trouble with other Japanese or Asian or just movies with subtitles in general.
No.
That I don't speak the language of myself. So that might color our thoughts on it a little bit. It will. It
affects the fact that I didn't understand all of it. I mean, I get the story. I understand what it's trying to tell me mostly.
Yeah.
I understand what the point of the movie is, I think.
Just
but
some
the
of the
details
subtler,
and the subtle details are, they're kind of lost on me. And unfortunately, that would probably be the case with a lot of movies in languages I don't speak, which, I mean, I only speak Swedish and English, basically.
Yeah. Languages
I guess I
where
can
I don't need
understand Spanish somewhat. But
I can read and like understand some Spanish and French, but it's like I would still need subtitles to watch movies in Spanish and French.
Oh yes,
it's just Swedish and English where I don't need it. So
exactly.
So Japanese definitely,
Yeah, so obviously that will hinder our complete experience.
Yes, that's something I almost always feel with movies where I don't know the language. There is always going to be a barrier. For me to appreciate it, but that's on me.
Well, yeah. I guess we should learn more languages.
Yeah, I suppose.
But other than that, I liked the movie. I did enjoy it. I mean, even though sometimes I was confused, I ended up like going, "Oh, come on!" Like, when you get so engaged that you start talking to the movie, or the characters in the movie. It happened, even though it's 3 hours long.
Yes.
I did have to pause it a couple of times because I was like, okay, I need to like move.
Yeah.
So I was watching it so intensely to catch as much of the subtitles and context as possible. Yeah. I kind of needed a break every now and then.
I sort of have the same problem. Because I think this is actually a really like well-written, good, complex story about grief and loss, and how we are on the outside versus how we feel on the inside and all that. Problem is, and that's really the only big problem I have with it. I don't think you need 3 hours to tell that story.
No,
like this is based on a 40-page novella.
Right.
That I haven't read it because I found out about it today, but based on the reviews of that novella, I'm pretty sure that the exact sentiment gets across pretty well in just 40 pages. So why is this 3 hours long?
I looked at the time every now and then to be like, okay, how much have I actually watched when you get to certain points?
Yeah.
And at the 40-minute mark, I was like, wait, we just saw an entire movie. Yeah, and then the second movie started.
Yeah.
Because at the 40-minute mark is just after his wife passes away.
Yeah, which is not a spoiler. That's literally the plot is...
Yes.
This theater director guy whose wife dies has to deal with her loss.
Yeah. We're not spoiling anything, but the intro, so to speak, the setup for the movie is 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
And then the movie starts and still has the a regular movie intro and setup as well, where you get like, okay, this is where he is and this is what he's doing here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's literally 2 movies put in one, because 40 minutes is the, what's it called, the academic standard or whatever it's called.
Academy standard, yeah. So it's technically a feature-length film before the opening credits roll.
Yeah, even that.
Yeah.
I mean, so yes, this movie is too long.
It is too long,
and it slightly hindered it from being enjoyable, because sure, you need some of the information from the beginning, definitely. But you don't need 40 minutes of it.
Yeah, and I mean the movie in general, you couldn't. I said, you got the story across in 40 pages. I don't think this would work as like an hour 20 movie. It needs more time than that, because it is very contemplative. Well, yeah. It's all about the long stretches of time in between the big moments. Sure. But 2 hours would have been fine.
Yeah.
And just focus it in a little bit.
Yeah, some of the very long, quiet moments could have been portrayed in different ways that still made them feel long without actually being many minutes long.
Yes.
There are ways of making you feel length instead of just having it be length.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that was a big issue for me, to be honest, because at times when they were just driving in the car, as a little bit like, come on, can we get to it? Say something. Have this moment mean more than just time is passing and they're contemplating.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, sometimes they were contemplating, but sometimes it was just the car from an outside point of view.
Yes.
And it didn't feel like it meant anything then.
And especially, because the main focus of the story is between, well, I don't remember her name. It's Kafuku is the director, and his driver is, what's her name?
Is Watari, Misaki Watari, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry if I butcher any names.
Yeah, sure.
In general.
So the story is between them, because they're both kind of in the same seat. And it's
Yes.
about them gradually opening up and kind of saving each other, so to speak.
Yeah.
From grief. But
accepting what they did or did not do to end up where they are.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, though, and you have the plot of the movie is that Kafka is he's directing a
production of Uncle Vanya.
Right, there it is, Uncle Vanya, which he's doing for a theater festival in Hiroshima.
Yeah.
So it's all about, him having to deal with this, and this is a part he's played before. He's played Uncle Vanya before in other productions of the play. But that was before his wife died, and there's a lot of similarities between the character Uncle Vanya and him. That's why. So now he doesn't want to play that. He feels like he can't play it anymore because it's
too close to home.
Yes, exactly. It'll stir up too many emotions.
Which I think it does. Like, he does one production just after she dies, and he can't really handle it.
He can't handle it. Yeah. So he brings in like new talent.
Yes.
In the form of, well, this is a spoiler cast. Fuck it. In the form of the man his wife cheated on him with.
Yes.
Like a TV actor who went through like a Me Too moment, which they don't explain until like 2.5 hours into the movie.
Yeah.
Which was very annoying because
they
hint
mention
at it.
Why did you do it? And he's like, well, sometimes you can't control yourself.
Yeah,
or something. And you're like,
when I first auditioned for you, I was really desperate for work. Like, but what happened? And
because the first time we see him, we get the introduction like, oh, he's this big soap actor thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I don't understand why that information was withheld. It would have helped to know the character.
Yeah.
I guess.
We understood that he was like hot-headed, sort of.
Yes, they did
explain that part.
Explain that very well.
I'm not entirely sure why he had to be. He was dating a minor. That's the thing, right?
He's dating a minor. That's why
I don't understand why he needed to do that, though. Couldn't it just be that he was hot-headed and perhaps beat someone up?
Yeah, I don't know, because that's the whole thing. Like Kafka is judging him based on what he knows about him. That he slept with Kafka's wife, and he's this disgraced actor. But they have what is it, like 2 or 3 conversations during the move. I mean, they have some more, but there are 3 long conversations. 2 in the bar and 1 in the car.
Yes.
And during that time, especially the last one in the car, we get to know the actor a lot more, whatever his name is. It's fuck. They said it so many times, but I don't remember it. Whatever. And he really much like the point of the movie, even though he does it much earlier in the movie, he bears his soul and explains there's more going on that you think with people, and maybe that's something that they're hinting at, that his wife saw more in him. This actor, God, what is his name?
Takashi. I think the character's name is Takashi. I'm not entirely sure.
No, it's not Takashi. No. There's no Takashi in the movie.
Yes, there is. Takashi Kimura.
Oh, there is. Okay, sorry.
He had a T or a K. I can't remember. And there's not a lot of pictures.
Ah, fuck, there's no pictures. He was... Gotta find the name. What?
Isn't he Takashi?
It's not Takashi. He calls him something else. Ah, whatever. The guy.
Yeah.
The young actor. Like they talk really without saying it, talking about his relationship with Kafka's wife.
Yes.
And how there's more to a person than, you know, just the surface stuff. Which is like the best scene in the movie, I think.
When we finally get to hear the ending to the wife's story.
Yeah. Yeah, that too.
Well, it's that scene, right, where we get to know more about.
Yeah, exactly, and he's like bearing his soul in front of Kafka. It's also one of the few scenes where people show any sort of emotions.
Yeah,
which that is a thing in some like indie movies, and I guess that's also not another cultural barrier when it comes to acting, how they act in Japan. I mean, I've seen other Japanese movies where they have a bunch of feelings. So I think it's also just like a style in this movie, but it's really. I get that it's about two emotionally repressed people, but goddamn, he doesn't like. There's the cathartic moment when they both like release their emotions happens 2.5 hours into the movie, and at that point you're like, you've been waiting for it, but it's been so long. So you're just, that's it, basically. I mean, it's not, for me at least, it wasn't enough. This movie, it's gotten so many good reviews. It's like one of the highest rated movies in the last few years, and I'm sorry, I kind of see it, but I don't really see it.
I can see why people give it high praise, but I don't think they're doing it for the right reason.
Yeah, come on. Like
yes,
there are a few really good scenes, but stretch that over 3 hours. I gave it 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Oh, I haven't rated mine yet.
No.
I just finished it like 15 minutes before we started recording, so
yeah. It's kind of funny because then, I finished it earlier today. So I watched some more movies, or I watched a more movie, and I watched, I don't know, I was just...
Another movie.
Yeah, no, I don't know why I picked it. I watched Crazy Stupid Love, you know, with Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone.
Yes.
I'd never seen the one before.
You haven't?
No, I hadn't. Because why would I watch this? It's like a rom-com. I don't watch a lot of rom-coms, but I watched that for some reason. And that movie is just over 2 hours with credits.
Yeah.
And I gave that the same score. It's a 3 out of 5, and I put the little heart as I liked it.
Yeah.
Now I can recognize that there's a lot more craft and thought put into Drive My Car, but it's an hour too long. If it was as long as Crazy Stupid Love, I would give it like 4.5 or 4 at least, you know?
See,
Crazy Stupid Love is not as well written, but it gets its point across, and you have a lot more emotional ups and downs in a short amount of time. And for me, that's easier to digest. Now, we've talked
Drive
about
My Car is more of a pretentious movie, to be honest.
Yes, it is pretentious. A lot of it is pretentious.
It's
not
speaking
in a good way.
No, not in a good way at all. No. Really, I mean, the whole thing about the relationship between the director and his driver, which is, you know, the main sort of getting somewhere in the whole grief process.
They don't even speak like until
exactly. They don't talk to each other.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be the emotional center of the movie. Like, come on.
I can sort of see why, but at the same time, it shouldn't take that long.
No, it shouldn't take that long. That's the thing. Yes, exactly.
We don't need to see them drive silently in a car about, I think it's, I didn't count, but it feels like 15 times before they start talking.
Yeah.
Before they decide to, and I mean, as soon as they start talking, they're like, okay, let's go see our trauma physically.
Yeah.
Let's go visit the place of your trauma so I can bear my trauma to you.
Yeah. And I get that she's like silently observing him. and realizing that they're kind of the same. But yeah.
And at the same time, yeah, she's just doing her job. She's just driving the car, and he was so particular in the beginning that he wanted to drive his own car because of whatever reason. So she's like, yeah. I'm just gonna drive. I'm not gonna do anything else. I don't want to disturb you.
The car is also kind of a metaphor for him.
Yes.
The whole, like, it's pristine exterior, just like him. He's fine on the outside, but on the inside, he's, like, still talking to his wife, his dead wife, 2 years later.
Yeah.
And he bears his emotions in the car, which he doesn't do on the outside. Okay, but it's like, there's not enough movie here for 3 hours.
No, not really.
No. And that's my main big problem with the movie. Everything else is pretty good. I thought the performances were good, mostly. No, they're good. It's just I wish there was a little more emote a little bit.
Yes.
A big thing also with this movie, which I understand because it's partly because it's based on a book or a novella, and also because of the nature of the subject matter. But it's a lot of like just talking, and all of the like emotional stuff comes out as exposition dumps.
Yeah.
Like, this is where my mother died, and I was very sad, but I was also kind of happy because she was mean. And then when she died, I remembered the good parts. Oh, show, don't tell, for fuck's sake.
You know what's even worse, though? Is that in the movie, we have the production of a play.
Yeah.
And even the rehearsal for the play is mainly done deadpan reading the lines.
Yes, because his shtick is that he uses actors from different countries. So it's based on like how he sees them as an actor, not based on the language. So when they rehearse the script in order to get to learn the script and be able to do the script without knowing what your counter actor is saying, they're going through it very methodically, like talking very slowly, monotone, so everyone knows when they're supposed to talk.
I get that, but it's
an
like
interesting thing, but it's also like it's boring to listen to. They even say it in the movie. The actor's like, "Oh, it's so boring when the other people talk."
Yeah, I mean, we have multiple scenes of that too. Just watching them read lines over and over again in languages that we don't understand.
Yeah.
In some cases, so much that, like, if there were no subtitles at all, I mean, we have she's mute.
She's mute, yeah.
So she's signing in Korean sign language.
Which is then being translated into Japanese by her husband, who is a casting director.
Yeah. Like, Jesus Christ, there's like 5 levels of trying to understand each other without understanding each other.
And the only language that is subtitled, at least the version we saw, the only language that is subtitled is Japanese, which I think is an artistic choice. And the sign language. Yeah. When no one is translating for her.
Yes, that's true.
Otherwise, it's translated by her husband.
So, I mean, we know there's Korean. There is Malaysian. Mandarin.
Mandarin.
I think there's like some sort of, I want to say Turkish style language.
Some other, that it's not Asian. I don't remember it.
Not pure Asian, but half Asian kind of thing. One of those countries that are on the border of Asia that doesn't really
Middle
count
East
to,
sort of,
Yeah,
or more the Middle East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it sounded sort of Turkish or something.
Yeah.
It's a very cool production in the movie.
Yeah, because it's all subtitled on the wall above them.
Yeah,
it's an interesting choice. You know what it reminded me of?
No,
very obscure. It reminded me of Mass Effect. in Mass Effect, it might maybe the first one or the third one. I don't remember. You hear like an extranet news newscast on the radio when you're like in the elevator or just walking around the Presidium.
Yeah.
And they talk about this like avant-garde director who's doing a production of Shakespeare, but with all L-core actors.
The ones who cannot emote at all.
So
they speak. They tell you what they're feeling.
Yeah. So
cautiously.
Yeah, they're speaking the general tongue, but since they can't express emotion with their words, so instead they say, angrily, "Why the hell are you trying to kill me?"
Yeah,
they speak like that, and it reminded me of that, letting like the words speak for themselves, not so much the actors. It was that was the thing it reminded me of. It's nothing to do with it. Just
now that you're saying it, yes, kind of a funny comparison, because it's kind of what it is. I mean, you're in this case though. I mean, it's more the actors' movements, I suppose.
Exactly, their emotions
than the actual
more than
words.
The actual words. Yeah.
Like I said, it's
interesting.
It's a very interesting concept.
Also interesting that he will do this play based on people's emotions when he's so emotionally closed off himself. Ha ha ha.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of those things. It's very clever that way, but it all amounts to like 100 to 120 minutes of really good stuff, and then 1 hour of
basically,
and not just 1 hour in like a chunk, but like doled out throughout the movie. There's so many like moments that could have been cut out, and like someone will probably say, "No, that's part of it." The slow, gradual like acceptance. Yeah, whatever. It still didn't need to be 3 hours long.
No, exactly. You can still portray that in other ways. You don't have to have the same. It's not the same scene, but it looks very similar when you're just having them.
Yeah.
Sit in the car when you're watching the car from the outside. You don't hear sounds, you just hear traffic. You could show us that in another way than just having that. For example, when they're actually going out to the driver's old home.
Yeah.
The whole thing about passing through tunnels all the time.
Yeah,
I'm sure there might be some sort of, I don't know, that they're going deeper and deeper or something. But is it like, could you have cut 1 or 2 of them? Did we have to have 5 tunnels?
Yeah, that's the thing. Especially when the source material is so short.
Yeah,
it feels almost like, and that once again going back to it being pretentious, it almost feels like the director and writer, like, testing himself, like, how far can I stretch this really good short story and still have it be good? And I don't think that's the right choice to make. That's at least what I think.
And I think people are, but the problem is that I think people are just swallowing it. They're like, yes, we have to like this.
Yeah.
Because it looks so pretentious and dramatic and deep. I mean, sure, it is kind of deep, and it has a deep meaning. It's about accepting your faith and not faith.
Grief.
Fate. Yeah, grief and getting over your grief. I mean, allowing yourself to properly grieve, more or less.
Yeah, exactly.
Allowing yourself to open up to other humans again.
Yes.
Because, I mean, the director and his driver more or less adopt each other.
Yeah.
By the end. Him as her adoptive father and her as an adoptive daughter. Because his... Again, another small detail that they lost a child.
Yeah, they lost a child
who would have been her age.
Yeah, sort of, yeah. That's a funny
detail that I'm not sure it really is needed. I mean, it's the reasoning...
It's why they kind of drift apart, that's also kind of funny because...
But that's not shown, really.
No, that's the thing. They gloss over details in a 3-hour movie.
Because the beginning, and I mean the first 20 minutes of the intro, the 40-minute long intro, they seem very intimate somehow.
Yeah.
We have them like discussing, because she's a writer.
She writes for television.
Yeah, she writes television.
And
she's discussing her writing, and he helps her write, basically, because she has this, which they describe later, like trance-like imagination, I suppose, after sex.
Yeah. So she
never remembers what she's saying, and he has to help her write it down. Again, weird detail. Why does she have to have this trance-like state after sex to be able to produce good TV shows?
Well, there's something to that as well, since they're, even though they don't really show that, they are kind of emotionally closed off. to each other because of.
I mean, they say "see you" instead of "love you" when they're leaving.
And also, they mention it later. Like after our daughter died, we kind of drifted apart. Even though we never see that.
No, when the funeral thing happened, I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
Was this thing is that one that short scene where we see them sitting? I assumed it was a funeral scene because they were wearing black all of a sudden.
I think it's like a memorial thing. I think she was.
Maybe it's a memorial thing because I was like, this is coming mid everything. When did the person die? Who died first?
It's just a picture of a young kid, and you like realize you figure out like, oh, I guess that was their child, but they never talk about it.
No.
Like, how are we supposed to understand? Like, so that's the thing. These 40 minutes, which from my understanding is like the big departure from the story in the book or novella or whatever, because that story starts with the director hiring the driver, and then slowly, opening up to her during their drives, talking about his wife and what happened between them. Like you do. Instead in the movie, there's 40 minutes of setup where they set up that they are seemingly happy but kind of distant, and then that they are emotionally closed off to each other because he doesn't like storm in when she's having an affair with another guy, and she's obviously not fulfilled with him since she's having an affair with someone else.
Yeah.
And the point is that then They are closed off, that's why nothing happens in those 40 minutes, but we don't get any information in those 40 minutes except for the surface level. That comes later, but it comes many hours later.
It comes way too late.
It almost feels like those 40 minutes aren't necessary. I've read some people like, no, but then it feels like Oto, the wife, her like ghost is haunting the rest of the picture. Not really.
No,
that would still have worked if, when we first meet him, he is listening to the tapes that she records. She records his scripts on tape, so he can listen to them in the car and like rehearse in the car. And he keeps listening to the last thing she recorded after she died. She didn't record it after
before she died.
Yeah, before she died, right. And in the beginning, that could be like, what is he listening to? It's obviously some sort of script, but who's reading this to him? And we could have gradually been like introduced to that by him playing the tape with the driver in the car, like they do, but him like explaining what it is, which they do. But it happens like all the big emotional reveals, all the big story beats happen in that last hour.
Yeah, I would have put that scene where he tells the driver who's talking as like the second time they're in the car that we see them.
Yeah.
Because the first time she's just gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna be quiet and let him talk. And then the second time he should be like, for some reason, mentioning, by the way, do you know who's talking? Or like, are you okay with the listening? Like he says, I think he says something like, are you bothered by the tape? Yeah. And she says, no, I like her voice. And then he should go, like he did, it's my wife.
Yeah.
And then the natural question should be like, oh, where's she now?
Yeah, then gradually opening up. But they don't.
Yeah. No.
Like you said, they have like 15 scenes of them driving back and forth between the hotel and the rehearsal area. But it's only in the last like 4
that they actually talk
to each
properly.
other and start revealing each other's stories. And those parts are good, but
they could have been in the first 5 or something.
Yeah, and the movie could have ended an hour earlier.
Yes. I appreciated the end though.
The end was good, except for like he like breaks down and really like you see him like embrace emotion again, and she does too in a way.
Yeah,
because he explains like what it is that she's like struggling with. But she don't have that big cathartic moment that he does.
Because she doesn't have it in a way of releasing emotions, really. She has it more in a way of, I guess, deleting her past.
Yeah, something. Coming to terms with
in the last scene, when she takes off the mask after she's been grocery shopping, she's had the surgery to get rid of the scar on her face.
Let's talk about that, because that's the biggest fucking pretentious shit in this movie. I didn't like the ending. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was like, come on. Because the movie takes place in Japan. She has a big scar on her cheek from a childhood accident when there was a landslide where she lived in her village that crushed her house. She managed to crawl out. But her mother was stuck in the house, and instead of calling for an ambulance or trying to get her out of the house, she just stood there while more mud and rocks crashed down on the house, which she then feels guilty for.
Inactively killing her mother.
Yeah, she feels guilty for that, but she was an abusive mother, and like may or may not have faked mental illness to try and like get like some love back after she's been mean to her daughter, beating her up.
Yeah.
Basically. And that's kind of why she's stuck. She's literally stuck in Hiroshima, because after that happened, she just took her car, or her mother's car, or whatever, and drove until the car broke down, which was in Hiroshima. She didn't have any money to fix it, so she got a job in Hiroshima and just stayed there. Yeah. Like, she's figuratively and literally stuck. Emotionally and literally stuck, I should say.
Physically.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she doesn't know where she has no plan on where to go as long as she can't move on. Like, she has no reason to move on physically. Yeah. Because,
Yeah. But then when they both open up, like, she opens up about not really killing her mother, but sort of killing her mother. And he opens up about feeling guilty about, if he had only been more open with his wife, maybe he could have saved her.
Whatever. He also feels like he inactively killed his wife because he decided to come home very late that day because he was scared of what would happen when he came home. Because that morning she had said, like, I want to talk. When you come home, we need to have a serious talk. And he's like, shit. And that was I don't want to come home to that, so I'm going to stay longer.
Just drive around in my car.
Just driving in my car.
And then when he comes home, she has died of a brain hemorrhage.
He comes home too late, so to speak, to be able to save her.
Yeah. So in the final scene, we see the driver girl, whatever her name was. She's walking around, and at first I'm like, why isn't this subtitled? And then I was listening, that's not Japanese. I found out it's Korean. She's talking Korean. She's in Korea. Yeah.
I did not catch that, to be honest.
I just
sorry, I cannot discern the languages really.
No,
just by speaking.
No, yeah, I heard it wasn't Japanese. That was it, but I didn't know what language she was speaking. But I looked it up. She was speaking Korean in the end.
Okay,
she's in Korea, which you also see because she's driving on the right side of the road instead of the left side of the road, or something, or vice versa. So the whole thing is, so she's picking up groceries. She has a dog. So she has something like not another human, but at least someone to like emotionally connect to.
Yeah, because we get one tiny scene in the middle of the movie where we realize, she likes animals. Or she likes dogs.
Yeah, it's Chekhov's dog. And then she's driving his car, but he's not there. And then when she's driving down the streets of Korea, she's in this new country with that car, but they mention much to them, and she has a dog. She takes off her mask, the COVID mask, and you can see she'd had reconstructive surgery, so you barely see the scar anymore.
Yeah,
which they mentioned earlier in the movie that was a choice she had when it first happened, but she chose to not get any surgery.
She wanted to keep it as a reminder of what she had chosen to do. Basically.
So, like. It's literally that whole sequence is just a metaphor for them both moving on through him giving away this car, this mask he had that was shielding him from the rest of the world, from his emotions, giving it to her, and her getting rid of her physical scar, but also her emotional scars. And then she smiles, and I was just like, oh my god, it was so schmaltzy. It was so disgusting. It was like, ugh.
Yeah.
It was so pretentious. I'm sure people loved that, but I thought it was so pretentious. Like,
I see, I didn't even really care about her character moving on.
No.
Like, we didn't need to know that.
She's not enough of a focus in the movie where she's supposed to be the second, like, character. But it's all about the director Kafka, and it's more about the disgraced actor. And I think his story is more interesting, and the dynamic between them two and the wife, the woman they both kind of loved, I suppose. That's more interesting, and I wish the movie was more about that.
Yeah, because we get way more information on the... I want to call him like a K-drama star, I'm not sure.
No, he was in some sort of like TV show like that. Like, some soap opera or something.
We get so much information on him. We get him... He's bearing his emotions a lot.
Yeah.
And that's explaining why he's doing what he's doing.
He's supposed to be the opposite of Kafka, but I mean...
Obviously.
Yeah. Which makes him a more interesting character. It is also more... We also actually get to know things about him before the last hour of the movie, you know? Which helps, you know, for us to care about a character.
Not that we care so much about him, but at least we have something to focus on.
Yeah, exactly.
Though at the same time, the way he is almost so much different from Kafka. I want to say Kafka as in the writer, but that's not how you say it, right?
It's kafuke or kafuku.
Kafuke.
But it's when it's a U in the middle, you remove the U in the middle, so it's Kafka, like Kafka.
Okay. Yeah, like the writer.
Yeah.
It's almost jarring how different they are.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where it's kind of like, Jesus Christ, can you not read the room? Can you not match energies at all? I mean, the director does, he does start kind of like, okay, you need to calm down.
Yeah.
He starts talking to him, like, I suppose emotionally, but, you know, in a fatherly way, sort of.
Yes.
But not enough.
He's also, I mean, he obviously casts him to kind of like torment him a little bit.
Yeah, it's out of spite.
That's also why he's making him play the lead as Uncle Vanya, which is a very hard role to play, especially for someone who hasn't done theater before, you know.
Yeah, and also he's playing an old man.
Yeah, and then he's trying to create this distance between him and his co-star, the lady who speaks Mandarin.
Yeah, the one who speaks English and Mandarin.
Yeah, when they're obviously, though, hitting it off stage.
Or something?
Yeah.
Janice.
Janice, right.
Janice.
Yeah.
Easy name to remember.
Yeah.
Sorry. Which obviously, I mean, they still, like you said, they still manage to have connection because they're two young, pretty people in a movie. There obviously is gonna be something.
Yeah. No, but so...
You're looking something up.
Yes, I am scrolling through the movie to find that guy's name. I'm so annoyed.
That we can't remember it?
Yes, the young actor. Here we go. Say his name. Either way, where were we?
No, but the main character, director, he's tormenting this young lover of his wife.
Yes,
that's what we were talking about.
Because, you know,
because they don't openly tell each other that, the director doesn't tell the young guy that, I know you slept with my wife.
No, but they strongly hint at it in that last conversation.
Yeah, and they kind of, by the last conversation in the car, the young guy understands, like, yeah, you know.
Yeah,
but there's so much you didn't know about your wife.
Even
which
before
is why he
that,
tells the story, I suppose.
They kind of, you know, they talk about that they both really appreciated her, and but they dance around it for obvious reasons.
Yeah, you can't really outright say, "Go, hey, I slept with your wife."
Yeah,
just before she died.
Exactly.
Sorry. It's kind of awkward.
Yes, it's
and I guess, I mean, as soon as he got cast as this weird role for his age and talent, he's like, okay, yeah, you know, you're punishing me.
Yeah, exactly, and he knows it. He's very frustrated.
Yes.
Oh, there it was. Ah, shit. He said it. It's Koshi. Say it again. Koshi Takatsuki.
You know what? It's written as Takashi on IMDb, but
yeah, but in the movie they say Takatsuki.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Maybe it's misspelled on IMDb. I don't know. Or I'm just reading someone else's name.
Or, you know, once again, these subtitles, I don't know, maybe something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Either way, so yeah, that's the name, Takatsuki. Sort of like Takashi, I suppose. Maybe that's him. I don't know. Whatever.
The young K-pop looking dude.
Yeah, I don't remember where we're going with it, but I just think that his story is much more interesting. Like I said before.
Yes.
And I
feel like they could have, like, I don't know, maybe make it so that he was deeply in love with Otto.
And have
that
them...
he would have been the other person who needed to accept his grief.
Yeah.
Instead of the driver,
and have
the
them
girl.
open up to each other. That would be a fun exercise in like, my wife's lover is torn up over her death.
The same death that
I
I
hate
am.
him, but I fully understand him because they truly love each other. This is weird. And they kind of comfort each other. Yeah, that would have been much more interesting than two people who barely talk hug in the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, sure, I liked that he finally got to be a father, which is something he really wanted.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, which he also mentions once in a 3-hour movie.
Very briefly, yeah. He asks her, do you want another child? And she's like, no, basically.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. I'm not gonna be ready, because the last one died inside of me. I'm done.
Yeah.
Which I can understand. That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you would want to try again if the first one died inside of you.
Yeah.
But it would have been a more interesting story and a better, I guess, comparison to have someone who's very emotional and someone who's not grieve the same person in their very own way, but then also trying to get through it together.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, you know what? I know this is gonna be a very short episode.
Yeah.
I think just to counteract the fact that it's a 3-hour movie, because
we'll keep it under an hour.
Yeah, because I pretty much said everything I want to say.
Yeah, we're just gonna start repeating ourselves.
Yeah,
this movie is way too long.
Yeah, and I know this is we've mostly been complaining about the movie, but that is because it's sort of like when we did the Batman episode. It is a good movie. And we mentioned the good parts, but there is this big problem. Just like in Batman, it was that he's not a character in the movie.
Yeah.
That is one big problem that holds that movie back. Here's the same thing. It's a really good movie, but there's this one big problem that holds it back, and it is the runtime.
Yeah.
And I guess the padding of the script, or whatever you want to call it.
The dead air, so to speak.
Not the actual runtime, but the fact that they're telling this 2-hour story in 3 hours for some reason.
Yeah. It's beautifully made.
Yes.
The acting, like you said, like actors acting as actors who are different levels of capable of acting. Very, I suppose, meta, or like in whatever.
Yeah. Which I think is also why it was nominated, because actors love watching other actors act.
Yes.
Act, you know. Oh, I understand exactly how this is. Oh.
I understand the character so much because I'm so much like them. Sure, shut up.
Shut up, yeah.
It was interesting to see this whole concept of the play within the movie.
Yeah, sure. And how it's mirrored the actor, you know, the characters. Yeah. But I mean,
and some of the characters were kind of interesting, but
yeah, I love I love, what was her name? June, the mute girl. She was. What?
She was probably she was great.
Yeah, she was great. I liked her husband, the casting director. I liked Taketsuki or Takeshi. He was great.
K-pop dude.
Yeah, the other ones didn't really have much. The other actors didn't have as much to do. They were fine.
No, they were just background.
Yeah,
it was kind of funny to see them when they auditioned and then on stage.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to see the actual progression there.
Yeah, and then Kafke and the driver girl, whatever her name is, they were fine. But the best was the mute which is girl, weird. Whatever
the one who didn't speak.
At
all.
You know why?
Conveyed more emotion.
Yeah, and that's
story
the thing.
than anyone else.
Since you don't have actual like spoken words, you need to emote much more with your face and your hands, which was sorely missing in this movie. Emotion.
Yes.
So I enjoyed that part. We don't.
It's a pretty picture, but it's too long.
It's too long. That's the main problem. Like, as weird as it sounds, if they just cut it down, it would have been a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's yeah. So we don't really do gradings here, but like I said, I gave it a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I'll probably be doing the same, I think.
Yeah.
I was thinking, do we know what we're doing next week? No, we don't, right? Yeah, maybe.
We're gonna, let's see. So, we're recording this on April 1st. Ugh.
Yeah.
But it's being released April 2nd. Yeah, but next Friday, we're gonna watch
right?
X. Yes,
Nice.
the new Ty West horror slasher 70s throwback movie, which I am very excited to see. So that's what we're doing next week.
Right.
Looking a lot. I have been hyping it too much. That's why I don't like doing that, though.
We're cautiously excited.
Yes, I am cautiously excited. So next week we're talking about X. But
we'll see what we do for our patrons in between that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Check out Patreon to find out.
Yeah, exactly. For just $3 a month, you'll find out this Monday. Or whenever you're listening to this, it's already been out for years, maybe. Either way, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to, if you don't want to, support us on Patreon or whatever, we're just happy to have you, like us on Spotify. You can even rate on Spotify nowadays. Subscribe to YouTube. There's links everywhere. Check us out on the socials. And we'll see you in the next episode. But until then, have a good one.
Bye.
The Spoilercast is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It's hosted by Tobias and Rebecca Vedén, produced by Tobias Vedén. Executive producer is Annika Vedén. Direction and sound editing by Tobias Vedén. A big thank you to all our supporters over on Patreon for keeping this show going. Rasmus Jonsson, Laura Kinney, Mom and Dad.